Hi everyone, welcome to the studio. So today I'm going to replicate one of my favorite acrylic pours that I've done so far. I'm going to do a beach scene with water, but instead of doing the water with the blow dryer like I did the last time, I'm going to just do a white line, and then when I put a resin layer on, I'm going to do the white of the waves in the resin. So let's see how that turns out. Okay, so before I get started, I want to share the colors with you. Now, I'm not endorsing any particular brand of paint, unless I'm getting a kickback, but I'm not. So I'm using 4 different shades of brown. One of them has a metallic in it. None of the shades have any silicone in them. And so I've stacked 1 cup with the brown shades, and it'll be in this bottom corner. And I have kind of a navy blue, an aqua, a seaside light blue, a medium color blue, which is actually this darker blue with some vanilla color mixed in with it. So let me stack my cups for the ocean part of my painting, and I'll be turning the camera back on. Okay, so I have already put all of my blues in the cups. They're ready to go. And then what I like to do last minute is put a little cross through them, because these are not cups that I really want to stay in rings. I do want the colors to mix a little, but some of them to stay intact because they'll look like waves. Alright, so let me get my gloves on and clear the way for my flip cups. This is a messy process. I guess I better get my apron on too. None of my cups have silicone in them. This is just a straight flip cup. And like I said, when I'm done, I'm going to put resin on the top and make white peaks in the resin using acrylic paint. So let's start with our beach. I think I want my beach to live there. I think we need a little bit of love right here. I think some more love here. Alright, now I'm going to let these set for a minute, and then what I will do is I'm going to pull these straight up, let them run, and then I'll tilt it a little bit. I have enough paint that I will definitely have some flow over, but that is okay. Alright, let's start with the beach, and then let's go for the other guys. The reason I did those 2 at the same time is because they're going to be pouring towards each other. And actually, I don't really care if I get some additional paint in different colors, so I'm going to let those drip a little bit. Now I will have to do something with this. I'm not sure I want that to be my wave. So let's go this way. That'll scrunch that up a little bit. This will add some action back here. Let's do this. Get rid of some of those wiggles before they start. And I don't really want a lot of cells, so I'm not going to torch it right away. Look at that. Beautiful. Nice. All right. So it's not going to be important that I keep this in any particular location, because in the end wherever the dividing line is from the beach and the ocean, that's where it's going to be. So that is just okay. So I'm going to go this way a little bit first. Just to get the paint moving. And walk it to the corner there. And I think I'm only going to go to that corner one time. Now I'm going to bring my beach back. Slowly, because I do want this corner to go over. Alright, let's work on this way. So I'm going to bring the weight back toward the middle. When people talk about the weight of the paint, it's really where the bulk of the paint is. That's where it's sliding most from. So once it makes it back toward the middle, I'm going to go this way. Fabulous. Now we'll work on the beach. Better get my thumb out of here. That beach is turning out nice. Okay, wait, I still need to wait to come back to the middle. Okay. And now we'll bring that beach down. There we go. And now I want to decide how much ocean I want and how much beach I want. So I think I want a little bit more beach. So I'm bringing it back up. And like I was saying, I'm not sure how I like this, so I'm going to create some swirls that I do like. Because we won't want this to dry with strange things like those swirls that were in it. Of course, the ocean is just a mystery how it turns out, but all right. And then another thing I want to do is I want to remove some of that. The reason I'm doing that is, remember, we're going to do most of our waves with the resin in the end. So I don't want too much of it there. All right. I think I want to go this way just a little bit more. That's it. I like this though. All right. I think I like that. It does look like the waves are coming in. What do you think? Check my edges, make sure they're done. And then let me wipe my hands off and I will bring you in a little closer. All right, so this is the finished painting, and I will show it again to you when I have put some resin on it. It hangs on my wall. So This is what it looks like when it's just paint on the waves, and then I'll show you what it's like when it is resin for your waves. Alright, so I'm ready to go now. I've got my gloves on. I have my resin all mixed up. No more swirls left in my resin, so it's clear. A little bit of bubbles in it, but that's okay. We'll work through those. And then I keep one of these handy. I usually use this to spread out my resin, but lately I've been just using my hands, so pardon my hands while I'm doing my spreading. So let's begin. Put a nice hefty puddle in there. I like to let it spread. It should be about 1/4 of the size of your painting once it's spread out. I'm going to pour a little bit on this next one beside me, because what I like to do is get them spread out, see where my holes are before I do anything else with the waves. So just for all intents and purposes, I'm going to go ahead and spread this with my trowel today. I get it close to the ends. I know it's hard for you to see on the camera what I'm doing because it is a clear substance, but what I'm doing is I'm just making sure it gets all over the middle part first, spread it close to the ends, and now I'm going to go ahead and get it close enough to the ends for it to start flowing over. And with a painting, it is not like a countertop or anything. You don't need so much that it just drips and drips and drips over the side. You don't need that much. I'm really just coating this as a protective coating so that my paints don't fade in years to come. So that if you buy a piece of my art, you will have it for years and years to come. Alright, so those are all over the edge. Now what I like to do is take extra. Make sure it's even here. Take extra right out of my bucket and get the edges. And you can feel when the edges are just rolling smooth, then you know you've got plenty of resin on the edge. The edges don't have to be beautiful, but you do want to have them covered. And it takes about 30 minutes for your resin to get to the point where you don't want to mess with it too much anymore. So you do have some time, but you don't have all the time in the world. So I can always feel if it needs more. Now resin, like paint, has bubbles in it sometimes. And as my paint is curing over the next 30 minutes, I'm going to hit it a couple different times with my torch. And that's just to bring up the bubbles. And I like to bend down, make sure all my places are covered. If not, I do a little pat, bring some of it here and there. Okay, so that is good to go. It's going to set for a minute while I spread out my resin on my other paintings, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to do this white one. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my torch. I'm going to make sure the bubbles are out of these paintings. Now, like I said, bubbles are going to keep coming up, over the next 30 minutes. But for right now, what I want to do is make sure that there are no bubbles that are actively coming up right here, especially on my beach line, because that's where I'm going to put my white paint for my waves. Try to increase the height of this just a little bit by adding just a tiny bit of resin that's extra. Now, of course, that's going to flow because this is within the 30 minutes. And next I'm going to do a line of paint. In my resin. It's okay to drag it. And I'm going to do a little line here. A little bit right there. Alright, let me get one right there. Alright, and then I'm going to get out, believe it or not, I'm going to get out my blow dryer and blow this. I see I think I have too much. So thank goodness all this resin is still too wet. So I'm going to scrape some of that out. Get me a paper towel. And we'll make these lines because they can become little waves. And stuff that you don't like because the resin's wet, bring it out. This is just a mess here. Way too much. That's what's nice about working with it while it's wet. I do want another line of it right there. So some of this paint I'm going to work with. Okay, blow dryer one more time. A little bit of resin, just to make sure those spots fill in a little bit. You don't want to leave holes in your resin when it dries. And resin is self-leveling, by the way, so if you see me just dripping it on, it's because I'm not worried. Okay, that's good. You feel that spot that, remember I pulled some out right there too. All right, let's go for that. I think I'm going to just end right there. I am going to take a little bit out, but the rest of it looks fabulous, I think. What do you think? What this finished painting looks like now that I've added the second layer of resin and added resin, a layer of white resin in the actual paint, and then a layer of white paint in the actual resin. Isn't that wonderful? All right, thanks.